Finally, this endless day came to an end. Marina tiredly exhaled and walked to the panoramic window of the office building. It was still light, but it felt like evening was about to descend on the city streets. We have to hurry, get to the nursery before dark, she thought. Quickly she turned off her computer, grabbed her bag, and stepped out into the empty hallway. Heading for the exit, she suddenly remembered that she wanted to go to the bathroom in the morning. I'll just be a minute, otherwise I won't make it home, she excused herself. Slamming the toilet stall, she glanced in the mirror. A pretty, but rather tired slender young woman was looking at her, her black curls disheveled, dark circles under her eyes. That's okay, I'll get some sleep this weekend, she promised her reflection. Marina hastily said goodbye to the obese guard and jumped out into the stuffy summer evening. Thoughts kept spinning in her head, jumping around like fleas. Need to see what can get home. No money for a cab. I'll have to take the bus, and walk to him on foot. Damn this city, and why did they move here? That's where all their troubles began. Her husband, trying his new job, had an affair at the same time, and Marina slammed the door proudly and left with 2 small children. She went straight to a rented apartment on the edge of town. Allowance for the youngest child soon ceased to pay, and she had to look for work. Marina's heart was bleeding when she took 1.5 years to the little girl in public kindergarten. How will her little girl be without her mother, alone among strangers, and a large number of children? Marina sat with her eldest boy until he was 4 years old, until he himself has not arisen need to communicate with peers. She loved her children more than life, even sacrificing her career for them. Her eldest had health problems at one time, which was another reason why she had been on maternity leave for so long. Today was her first day back after 5 years of maternity leave. She was tired from the first, and she missed her children very much. It would be good to figure out where to go. Marina opened the map on her smartphone, and unsuccessfully tried to figure out which way to go. She inherited her topographical disorientation from her mother, though in a milder form. Nevertheless, finding her way in an unfamiliar city proved to be a problem. As luck would have it, the streets went up and down. The city was built on a mountain, and seemed to consist entirely of bridges and tunnels. Marina started to move at random, and followed the cursor on the map. She thought, 10 more minutes, and there should be a bus stop. She walked briskly toward the bus stop. When about 10 minutes had passed, she glanced at the map, but the route had suddenly changed. It curved and looped a red line, and the stop was even further away. The walk was 15 minutes, the app said. Looks like I missed a turn somewhere, thought Marina. How could I should be more attentive. Now Marina occasionally glanced at her smartphone as she walked. In the meantime it began to get dark outside. A light bluish haze enveloped the air, the leaves on the trees turned emerald, and dark blue clouds covered the sky. Objects in the distance became barely distinguishable, but Marina persisted, trying not to miss a single turn. She ascended bridges, and again descended to the road. Along with the darkness increased her anxiety. Marina remembered how in the morning she wiped her daughter's tears and promised that she would come back for her early. But now it was evening, almost all the children had been taken home, and her little girl was probably sitting there all alone, crying. Marina tried to distract herself from these thoughts. She imagined how she would hug her daughter, how her eldest son would throw himself on her neck, and they would all go home to cook dinner together. Suddenly, as if something clapped in the distance, Marina woke up and looked around. She was standing on the quay, the road winded nearby, there was not a soul around, only birds galloping on the pier. It had become quite dark, and when Marina looked at the map, she realized that it was unlikely to get to the bus stop. The route, as if mocking, became even more twisted and further. It felt like Marina was walking in circles. Maybe this part of town had poor internet coverage, or the GPS was broken, making it difficult to determine her whereabouts. She decided to call a cab, since there were no other options left. She could avoid spending money at the store and cook dinner with what she had left at home, she thought. Hoping to make it before her phone ran out, she tried unsuccessfully to locate the geolocation point as the phone blinked treacherously and the screen went out. Oh shit! Marina fought the urge to smash the damn iron against the pavement. The situation was becoming more and more serious. Marina cursed her frugality. She could have been home a long time ago if she had called a cab right away. Now it had long been night, there was still not a soul around, and her children were sitting alone, waiting for her at the other end of town. "Well, do not give up, for the sake of my family, I have to be strong," she cheered the road nearby. "Maybe I can stop a hitchhiker." As luck would have it, not a single car drove by the entire time she was here. But Marina tried not to despair, and wandered along the road in the darkness, shuddering in the sudden piercing wind. The darkness around her seemed to be shrinking, getting colder and firmer, and the objects around her, on the contrary, seemed more and more shaky. In general, the whole situation was on the verge of absurdity. Marina tried to understand why at the age of 35, she could not find her way to her own house on the navigator. It was as if some kind of a vapor, it flashed in her mind. But then the light of a car's headlights caught her shadow. Marina rushed to the road, afraid to miss a rare opportunity, and almost got under the wheels. There was a pitying squeak of brakes, the UAZ stopped and slowly, with a creak lowered the window. "I'm going to the city, to Wasserman Street," she blurted out. "Can you give me a lift, please?" The driver's face was invisible in the shadows, but he waved his hand absent-mindedly. "Get in, say, back." Marina began to walk around the car and realized that she had stopped a hearse. "So, Marina, this is the most ordinary, black UAZ with 8 seats. It will take you to the children," she repeated to herself, as she climbed inside. When the car moved, Marina found that she was not alone. A large lacquered black coffin took up most of the space. Her palms went cold, her hands trembled, and she moved as far away as possible, keeping her eyes on the coffin. The road, meanwhile, had become bumpy, the car shaking and bouncing at even the slightest bump. Trying to stay in place, Marina clung to the armrest of the seat. In the meantime, a fog began to creep into the cabin, as if the smell of swamp. And her eyesight began to play a cruel joke on her. The lid of the coffin was also bouncing, but as if stronger and stronger. Now she could see the white silk inside. On a high bump the lid was tossed again, and it moved halfway. There were white, swollen fingers on the edge of the coffin. When something huge, puffy and pale in a black suit began to get out of there, Marina screamed, but it was too late. She woke up in the entryway. The light from the plafond on the wall hurt her eyes. It was hard to walk, she was panting after climbing the stairs. She put her heavy bags on the floor, and rang the doorbell. After a while a frail man with a weak stubble, wearing a dirty white t-shirt and stretched underpants, opened the door for her. She squeezed her way in with difficulty, wondering at the narrowness of the doorway. An unfamiliar pale, puffy face with thick cheeks and small eyes stared back at her from the hallway mirror. A slight bewilderment stirred inside, which was replaced by a lingering, unconscious longing. "Children, I'm here," she said uncertainly. No one paid any attention to her. The tall young guy continued to watch TV, and her daughter was on the phone in her room. The man in his underpants disappeared into the bathroom. After taking her coat off her heavy body, she took off her shoes with difficulty, and moved to the kitchen to prepare dinner. She was home.